welcome to All on the Table, another Secrets of Small Gods special episode for you. Today it is Holly's special episode, in which we get to see what Holly does behind the scenes. No, I'm just kidding. It's not behind the scenes. Common is here with me. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'll be game mastering this one-on-one short special episode for you. Common, introduce yourself a bit more.
Well, again, I'm Common, pronouns they, she, and I am going to be playing the part of Holly Krabappel, who is a goblin who is still realizing she is on her one last job, having gotten into it, just thinking she is going to be helping some people. She kind of hasn't had the chance to be able to process that much, but this downtime is definitely sinking in after a fun little time with Mouths McGee.
Yeah, that's one way to describe that creature. Yeah, outsiders are weird. I love making them disgusting and weird. That art was perfect for it. Yeah. All right, so you are in Absalom. You've got 3 days before the big event where everybody heads into the Undercity to try and locate and stop the attempted resurrection of Tar-Baphon, the Whispering Tyrant.
Gotcha.
There is, because it's Absalom, a thriving goblin community. And when I say a thriving goblin community, I want you to think of it like when somebody says there's a thriving African community in New York City, and they're from like somewhere a little more rural than me, but in my part of the country, in the backwoods, in where they don't understand that there is a, Ethiopian community, there is a Kenyan community, there is a North African, there's an Egyptian community, there's just like when somebody says, oh, there's a thriving goblin community, they mean there's like 16 different communities found in here. And only a goblin or somebody who actually, pays attention to the world would know the difference. Or maybe an Absalom native who just really loves goblin cuisine. Because all of them produce slightly different foods that are fantastic in their own ways, except for that one group that eats raw things, and it's not fish.
I mean, Holly enjoys that.
It's a thing that happens, but most people enjoy the multitude of cuisines and fun things that happen. So you're in Absalom. There's multiple parts of the city that are dedicated to goblins. And you've got 3 days off. If there's anything else other than goblins you want to deal with, go right ahead. We can do that too. But I'm just letting you know what's here for within your ancestry.
Gotcha. I mean, Holly's just trying to relax, trying to figure out where her life is going next, because she did kind of just tag into another adventure, which is something she did a lot when she was younger, but this time, she just helped some random patrons and is now back, on a quest. She was retired. And granted, she doesn't mind coming back to things. There is still some degree of resentment. Not towards the party, but over the fact that, whenever she was on quests before, she is a small little goblin who was going around fist fighting. There wasn't really any, legend behind it, not any, relatability for the humans. The fact that this was just a little goblin scrimblow, and didn't really have, any weapons to be able to sell, didn't really appeal to the normies. But because she had a human fighter with, a sword named the Promethean, and a elven mage who had, a bunch of spells under her belt, Holly just gotten Mike Wazowski'd out of like her own story. Like everyone kept saying, "There's the guy with the Promethean," or like, "There's the mage." Oftentimes, like they literally did not see Holly, so they didn't know that she was basically leading these two and like their ever-changing cast of side characters. Because like,
yeah,
none of them were goblins, and unfortunately, to a lot of people, even if this is a better setting than most regarding goblins, like there's still a relatively misunderstood like every bit of their culture, every bit of every goblin culture.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
like this isn't like D&D where they're like basically loot pickups, but this is like
yeah,
not at the point where most people playing Pathfinder, for example, are going to be playing goblins. And same note, like most goblins in Pathfinder aren't going to be the hero.
Holly is probably wandering the goblin districts then because it's more comfortable. You're less likely to be ignored. You're more likely to be at least recognized as a person as opposed to just some sidekick who's there to assist the superhero, right?
Yeah.
And the a strange a strangeness comes up, and you are recognized and pulled towards something. I want you to roll roll a I can never remember.
No worries.
Remembering the names of skills are always hard. I want you to roll a religion check.
Okay, that is not one of her fortes, as we can see.
Yeah, you don't realize this is happening because it's no religion that you've ever, been part of. It's not part of the faith where you grew up or adventured when you were younger. You get pulled along and suddenly wind up sitting in a pew in a goblin church. And you're surrounded. You're like wind up. You get pushed and shoved into the middle of this pew, and you are stuck at the moment. And
yeah,
you hear a very strange kind of preaching. It's not the worship of of a goblin god they're talking about. It's not the worship of anything you would recognize. They're talking about the preacher is doing this bombastic, "We were once great warriors under the old leaders, and we were great this. We must make goblins great again, and they are amazing." And he's going through in this very just demagogue style preaching, very populist style message to try and convince people that the goblins should rise up in revolt against the leaders of Absalom, violently against the leaders of Absalom, on the exact on the day you're supposed to be going down into the underground, to the Undercity, to find and stop the resurrection.
Holly is going to have some questions, but she's not here because she wants to be. She's here because of literally a wall of bodies kind of moved her in, but not in the cosmic horror kind of way that we just saw, just in the societal kind of horror of being pulled into a church, the wrong room at a con, going to the wrong part of your workplace.
Yeah, Yeah, it's like when you get stuck and you're trying to walk through a busy mall at like on Black Friday.
Yeah.
If you can't go against the people. You just kind of flow with everyone because there's nothing more you can do.
So there is one difference here, though. Unlike in a lot of those situations, Holly can leave.
Yes.
She's not going to leave, but like she is more emboldened to. And like, is anybody else talking outside of this demagogue?
Not that you've noticed. It's kind of so like he goes on for like an hour almost when the goblin, and the crowd starts to get restless a little bit. There's a reason most religious services last 1 hour and that's it. So
Holly.
After about an hour, people start to mill about, and they say, we'll have a 10-minute break, and then the next speaker will come.
Before that, can I have Holly interrupt the service?
Yeah.
Gods above, will you shut up?
Who are you to say such things?
Somebody who understands like this better than you.
What do you mean? We were great and we can be great again. Why should we listen to one who doesn't want us to be great again?
Because you're treating us like a miasma, and I've seen wannabe leaders who basically are just in it for themselves.
I want you to roll a diplomacy check. Well, no, wait. Society check, actually. This is convincing people that they're doing things wrong as a group, not one-on-one.
Holly lives in a society.
Yes.
No team.
He tied you. So now you're starting to see a smatter, like the goblins are starting to argue with each other. And like the people, you can see that there's like two groups starting to form in here, that those who are agreeing and those who aren't. And they're starting to argue and debate and fight amongst themselves.
So, genius, what are you going to be doing whenever you do run your little revolution? I am not against, like, rising up against your oppressors. But I don't think that's the point we are at right now in this situation. What I am seeing, what I am hearing, and what I am smelling is yet another case of somebody with no plan, just wanting to be sitting around being fed grapes as he watches an entire group of people stumble over themselves, eventually turning against each other, because this is the kind of person that only deals with strife.
Roll another society check. You have with this longer, obviously you're putting you're good, and you're putting a lot of emphasis into this, and the guy's like, but I don't care about strife, I care about being great again. And he's just like only got this repeating line and this repeating refrain, and you can see him start to stumble, and it's almost like, in fact, if you didn't know any better, you would swear it was like you broke the magic spell that was over people. And all of a sudden, like 3/4 of the crowd turns and starts agreeing with you. And they're like facing down this guy, and they are going against him. And all of a sudden someone yells out, yes, and the professor! Remember the professor who said the only way we break our change is through mutual aid and helping each other. It is none of that crap he's talking about attacking. We have to help. And you were, out in the, very far away, but even you've heard inklings of this goblin who had become a professor up in the up in the Shining Kingdoms. And this professor who had written and was writing books on how goblins could rise above what the old gods tried to make them. And it seems like there's several people who really like him in this crowd and are fighting along and are fighting with you to stop this demagogue now. And it seems like you might not even have to speak anymore if you didn't want to. But the demagogue seems to be trying to do something. I want you to roll your perception. So there's the perceive and initiative buttons. Roll the perceive.
Yep.
Okay. Against his stealthy, that has to go to advanced because he has that. See. Yeah. Okay. You don't know what he's doing, but he stepped behind the podium and he seems to be doing something at the podium because he was out in front of it before. He's backed and put the podium between him and the crowd.
Holly is going to start approaching the podium.
Roll initiative. I haven't gotten to do this yet. In this particular series, I love this rule. It's a rule that comes from the adventure, from the storyteller system, where if you get 3 successes against a mook, you knock out the mook. In this case, if you successfully hit the mook, you knock out the mook. You don't ever have to roll damage. And so every single one of your attacks, if it hits, knocks out the mook. We're talking, so this is just a fast action, think like kung fu action movies or The Mummy, right? He shoots, and all of a sudden people fall over, right? Yeah. You just roll a 6. If you succeed to hit, you knock them out. That is the mook rule. So, you see a bunch of street toughs stand up, couple like chains and brass knuckles around their hands. So you see them stand up, and they with the chains and the brass knuckles and stuff, and they start advancing towards you. So the first one comes up to you, and he rolls to he just rolls to hit, and he misses. The second one, and the second one gets up there and also gets an attack, gets to try and swing at you. But these guys are fighting through a crowd, so they don't have, they're not moving very fast. So it's taking a bit for them to get to you. So there's like 3 other mooks coming towards you that you can see. But it is now your turn.
How close is Holly to the podium?
You're probably about 50 feet away.
Holly's just going to keep walking towards that dais.
Okay, it is. So you're in difficult terrain because of the crowd and the milling and the arguing that's going on. So it's going to take. So difficult. This basically cuts your movement in half. Your base move is 35 per action. You get 3 actions. You'll make it. That not quite. You'll not quite make it because that gets you to 95. No, that's 105. You do make it to the podium. That takes your full action.
Cool.
Your skills as a martial artist lets you glide through everything, and you're up on the dais at the podium. So now it's start of a new round, and the demagogue at the podium whips out a short sword and swings it at you.
Cool. So that's a miss.
That's a miss. Yep. And then do you get an attack? Do you have a reaction?
Let me double check. I have twitchy.
No, that wouldn't affect this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. Because using an item, so doing the use item action can trigger a reaction if you have that ability. You don't, but that's okay. You see him grab a lever that's underneath the podium, and it drops him. He drops down through a trap door that appeared.
Gotcha.
And we're going to go to your turn because the mooks can't get to you this turn.
Gotcha.
So the demagogue has escaped down a hole.
Holly's going to look back to see if the mooks are causing problems for anybody else before leaving.
No.
Holly just shouts out, "I'll be back."
Okay. You drop down
the hole. If this is more cult shit.
You drop down the hall?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you get down, and it's a moderately lit space. You can actually see there and stuff. So you see the goblin demagogue is running away from you down the only direction the tunnel goes. He is 20 feet away from you, 25 feet away from you. So he's not that far because, he's barely had time to start running since he fell down. You have 2 actions left. You can easily catch him in one and attack him in a second.
Yeah, Holly's going to go for like a haymaker.
Okay.
So, unarmed fist?
Yep.
I'm going to save up that key for a fun little moment later on. It'll be a surprise tool to help us later.
You hit him really hard. He gets you just clock him hard. He goes down because 8 damage is quite a lot for a untrained goblin. So a level 1 character, the guy you were up against there is not going to be very strong. He's down. You knocked him out.
I'll just kick the sword away from him before picking him up by the shirt.
Okay. What do you want to take him down the tunnel, back up the hole? What do you want to do with him?
Shove him against the wall. And I think, okay, there's more to this, right?
Yeah,
that timing is way too perfect for you.
Yeah, you get him to wake up and stuff. So now you want to you're gonna interrogate him, and so you'd want to roll intimidation or you'd want to roll intimidation in this case to get him to break. And he gets a will save. Yeah, he cracks and he's like, this is our promised time. We were told that we would be rewarded if we could revolt on that day.
Yeah, I'm aware. That's gonna be a very special day for some people that I'm not a fan of.
What do you mean you're not a fan of?
The cult.
Wait, which cult?
Which one are you thinking of?
Well, the old god,
yeah,
Redricken, the old god, is the one that we want to bring back. We were great under him.
Can you respell that name again?
Redricken?
Yeah. Holly's gonna try to write it on her arm to be able to know how to pronounce it better.
So if you roll a, do you have lore history?
Mm-hmm.
You can roll lore history. That would work.
I only have warfare.
You only have lore warfare. So in that case, you'd want to roll. You'd want to roll religion.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know that used to be a goblin god, like 1,000 years ago, but you haven't heard of anybody worshiping Redricken for quite some time. Like, there's no active religion with that name. That name, it's like, yeah.
Or is it really Reverton, or is it just somebody else like trying to like pull your leg and like level with me? You don't even have to like work the crowd. What is your plan? You're going to like ascend to the level of like warriordom. Like, do you know how to survive without medicine? Do you know how to survive without like a farmland? Do you know how to survive without like any ability to get resources from like anyone out there?
What?
You've never thought about being a leader beyond like the cushiness of a church, right?
I received a vision from Redricken that told me to rise up on this day.
Yeah, it wasn't Reverton. Or if it was, I'm gonna have some words. You're not a leader.
What?
You're not a leader.
I'm not the leader. What am I?
What were you before?
I was a very, very bad butcher.
Why were you bad?
Nobody liked my sausages.
Nobody liked my bread, but I kept going for it. Nobody liked my heroism, but like I still kept doing it. Gotta do it for you, Chief.
Uh, um, but, uh, but, come down the hall. You can see. You will see. This guy's very confused. He wants to prove himself to you that you should follow him. And so he's pointing the direction he was running.
I'm going to hold you tight by the neck. So that way, if we get attacked, you can be able to see without like getting sneak attacked, or we'll go down together, whatever. Oh, he's just gonna keep dragging him like this.
Okay. You get to the end of the hall, and there's a door. You open it, when you go into the room on the other side. There's several books. Not a single one of them is really old. They're all like recent, like within the last couple of years at most, having been written. But there is a scrying stand, right? That the basin of water poured in it and stuff. And he goes, come. He says, I need the water, and I say the words, and you can see and talk to Redricken.
Holly's going to like indulge this, but is not going to let go of this guy. Like,
okay. He pours the water in and says something in Goblin that is complete and utter gobbledygook. Like, you've never heard a goblin say these words in your life. It sounds like something a like elf who hated goblins would have made up to mock goblins.
Holly's just gonna like wince.
Yeah, it does not. I mean, it's like that. Those fake. It's just so bad. And so
like whenever somebody's trying to like be racist towards somebody IRL, and they use like the only phonemes they recognize from that language, but like, yeah. I unfortunately went to high school in the 2000s. I'm familiar.
Yeah, I get it. It's okay. We'll go from there. Yeah, so it's really bad, that kind of stuff. And all of a sudden, the scrying thing opens. The port, you actually get to see something, and what you see on the other side is a elf who's painted their skin green, and has yet to like put in the fake teeth to make the pointy goblin-esque teeth and things. And what are you doing? What are you doing? This is not the time to call. Ah, fuck. And smash. The thing falls down. Yeah, the elf, you saw them. It was very clearly an elf who was like gluing prosthetics onto the ears, and it dyed their skin green so they'd look more goblin-like.
Ah, Elf Jolson, we meet again.
And I want you to roll a d20 plus your d20 plus your proficiency bonus. That is, yeah. So yeah. You do recognize this elf.
Oh.
You thought you'd killed this elf 20 years ago. And they're still alive. Back then, they were running a random cult that the human and the elf had to fight, that they'd found out in the woods somewhere, and it wasn't even like serious or anything. It was just like, here's some silly elf running some silly cult amongst the orcs, which most of the orcs didn't get hurt. You just thought you thought you'd killed the elf, right? You'd knocked him hard, and he'd gotten stabbed multiple times by your fighter, right? Your fighter friend.
Yeah, Bob.
Yeah, Bob, and then Reginald the wizard had quite literally burnt him at one point, and yet here he is. You're like, he's the same fucking elf. Normally you'd be like, it's not. It can't be the same elf. But in this instance, everything matches. This is the same elf, including, you're fairly sure, the scar that Bob gave him, running across his face like this. He survived somehow, and he's back doing almost the exact same thing.
Hey, Butcher. Actually, I never got your name. What's your name?
Oh, Dibbler.
Dibbler the Butcher?
Mm-hmm. He sells sausages.
So I don't have location services. Do you know where that individual is located?
No. The scrying bowl doesn't give me location.
But like, do you know where, like, where did you get the scrying bowl?
It was delivered.
By whom?
A local lad. He was one of the guys. He was one of my security guards afterward. Yeah.
We're gonna reverse engineer this.
So the security guards were the ones that were attacking you. You're pretty sure. Yeah. So you go back up. You find them all tied up, and most of the crowd is waiting for you to return.
Holly's just like holding Dibbler and is like, "This is some elf bamboozlery. Like, This guy was fooled. He's a cook. He's a butcher. He makes sausages.
Wait. That's Cut Your Throat Dippler.
Cut Your Throat Dippler?
Yeah. Cut Your Throat Dippler. One of the people says, and like 2/3 of the crowd just says, just another fucking scam, and they walk out.
Do you mean literal, or like this is just like a scam artist who like got scammed?
He's a constant scam artist. Like if you were to roll society, every elf in town knows, or every goblin in town knows who this is. Probably most of the elves, humans, they know him. He sells bad sausages. He's not a great. He's a butcher by trade, and he tries every possible scam he can to make money or be important. And so, and he goes, you know, and nobody trusts him. The only people who seem to have any trust in him are the people from out of town. You've got, you know, a few heavy, you know, a few bigger goblins are still there watching the guards that are tied up and saying, we're not leaving until we finish this. And so you're left with you're left with 5 tied up goblins and Dippler.
Okay, so who gave who the scrying bowl?
Oh, he gave me the scrying bowl. Points to the biggest one of the goblins.
Who gave you the scrying bowl?
It was a big guy. Elf, I think. Might have been an orc. Yeah.
You have any further identifying details? Was there a scar?
Yeah, he had scar right there, right here. He's drawing on his face like an X thing because he doesn't remember that much, but he had a scar.
You happen to know where I could find this elf?
Elfie orc guy. He gives you a location.
Mm-hmm.
Approximate. You know, there's several buildings there in that square. But you know from the planning that had been discussed the other day, that's where one of the teams is going down.
Holly's going to dash off after them.
Well, they haven't left yet. Like everybody's leaving in like, you know, you've got like another day, you know, you've got like 2 days before everything happens, right? So you've got 2 days and you know that this has been that they're planning bad things to happen again. So
Dippler, do you pay these goons?
They collected the donations to the church.
So you pay them?
Well, yeah. You got to pay the guards, or the guards take your money anyway.
Of course, they're protecting your property. Yeah. So, you control them with the force of, like, violence of what happens without money. I'm controlling you right now with the force of a goblin spinal column. Would you be able to have your friends join us on an adventure? Because you seem like a terrible scam artist, but, like, maybe you can make it as a thief. When they said cutthroat, I'm like, oh, another thief, another assassin. No, you're just like...
No, he's the world's worst con artist.
Yeah. Like, maybe there's, like, a different role for you out there, but, like, it's not this.
Well, I mean, they're paid up through the end of the week.
You're good at all with espionage. I want to hire you two. But if they're up for it, I got some need for some muscle.
Okay, what do they need to do?
So, your little buddy there with the face paint.
Yeah.
That's an old foe of mine. He also is a scam artist, but more in a cult kind of way. He was absolutely using you as a pawn to be able to set up, like, just there was like a mouth thing.
The important name to get out is Tarbafon.
Yeah. Or I'm always afraid I'm going to mispronounce it. Tarblock. Tarblock?
Tarbafon.
Tarbafon. Thank you.
Yep.
It's Tarbafon because Tarbafon.
Wait. The fucking Lich King? Oh.
I guess.
Oh God. Okay. Sorry, guys. We're changing sides. We're not doing the cult thing anymore. We're gonna do whatever she says, because we don't want to work under the Lich King ever again. You guys know what the stories of that are. That's the worst. And every single goblin goes, yeah, we don't. I mean, we were warriors in the sense that we were the front line of the army and died instantly every time there was a battle. No, we're not doing that again. No, yeah, we'll mess this up. So you have gained an entire team of goblin street toughs to help.
Cool. So I'm going to give you some rush training. Holly's going to use the most of that 48 hours to teach them as much as she can about A, the situation, and B, just combat.
And you,
because they're street toughs. What's that?
Yeah, they're street toughs. They got a little bit of info, but
they don't know war.
No.
Holly's going to prepare them for the horrors of war. It's all she thinks about.
Yeah. So you do. You successfully train them. In fact, you unsuccessfully created you have failed to become a baker yet again, but you have opened a dojo accidentally. Because on the second day, you go from having the 5 street toughs in this building training with you to having 30 goblins in here training with you.
So this ain't going to be one of them scam dojos. I'm just going to teach you how to fight.
Yeah.
No money system. We're just going to cause injuries to some people that deserve it.
Yeah. And so that's what they're learning. They want to get back at, 1, the elf who was fucking with them, and 2, get everything taken care of. So they do. They're there to learn, and they go fight. You just gained there's like a team of 30 or so goblins that are now raring to go down and help mess up the Lich King's plans. Congratulations.
Cool.
All right. So that is the end of Holly's special episode. Thank you for joining us. Just a reminder, we have the Pride Slimes Mutual Aid Monsters Volume 1 out. Mutual Aid Monsters Volume 2, which is the Pride of Hydras, is going to be coming out in in December. We're finishing that up now and getting that taken care of. And then we'll have next thing that'll occur for us is the big mutual aid stream that's happening in December. During the mutual aid stream in December, you can get get a preview of the Pride of Hydras by getting the Pridra for any donation level during our stream for that. And once that's done, within a week or 2, you will see the full Pride of Hydras Mutual Aid Monsters Volume 2 release up on Drive Through RPG. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.